It's Monday morning, and this is the Morning Booster. Welcome, everybody, to a special week of the Morning Booster. This week, we are going to celebrate Teferi and call it Teferi Week. We're going to crack open product, boosters, Planeswalker decks, all with Teferi. Before we jump into today's product, though, we need to clarify something right out of the gate. There's been a lot of people in videos and online referring to Teferi as Mr. T. I'm sorry, completely disagree with this. He does not look anything like Mr. T. In fact, when I look at that picture on the packaging for the 2021 Planeswalker set, first thing I think of is the actor Keith David. You might know Keith David from such movies as Pitch Black or The Chronicles of Riddick. I think he was Frank in They Live, that old classic with Roddy Piper. So we got to just dispel this whole Mr. T thing right out of the gate and make it clear that, if anything, I think these guys, the modern version of Teferi is based on Keith David. So why am I doing a Teferi week? Because I think it's a fantastic card. There's a lot of hype around the Planeswalker cards right now that are coming out of Core 2021. They are the most valuable of all the cards. Also, the reality is Wizard of the Coast decided to go crazy and put out about 20 billion different versions of the card. So I thought it would be really fun just kind of crack open some boosters with him on the cover, open up the Planeswalker deck, just try to find some stuff with him on it to kind of go with the theme of Core 2021. So for today, we're going to look at the Planeswalker deck. You can pick this up retail for about $12, give or take, your friendly local gaming store. Overall, the product itself, you can see on the cover, you get the Teferi, the Timeless Voyager, which is not the card everybody's seeking for. I think this one has roughly a value of $3 or $4. But what it also comes with, we flip over to the back side, we can see that it comes with a deck box, 60-card deck for play on tabletop or online, and then one booster pack. How funny would it be if we got the other Teferi card in that booster pack? Not counting on it, but I'm going to cross my fingers and hope here. So when it comes to this product, one of the things I'm going to say is that this is a beginner's product, generally speaking. If you're somebody that's a seasoned player, you're really into it, you're typically not going to buy these. This is more for like Z and I, who are casual players. I find it interesting that the way this is packaged and the way that it's promoted, that it's kind of aimed towards newer players, when my experience so far with teaching Z how to play the game is that Planeswalkers kind of add an element to the game that's a little bit confusing until you get to understand them better. Unlike, say, your basic creatures, your land cards, your instants, and your sorceries, Planeswalkers and the mechanics associated with them have a little bit more complexity to them. So I am kind of surprised that they kind of push this product as for newer players, novice players, when in reality I almost would say this is kind of the middle ground. Like when you're ready to step up from the very basics, would be the next iteration of the game that you'd want to explore, ignoring things like going into Pioneer or older formats with a larger variety of cards. I really feel like these Planeswalker decks are kind of that next step, similar to the Commander stuff, where I think, again, there too, it's really not beginner Magic. It's kind of intermediate Magic before you get into competitive play tournaments, which I would say is advanced Magic, where you're really having to understand mechanics and interactions between cards and everything. But with that said, I still think it's a pretty good product. Like I said, for $12, you're getting some cards to start with. You're getting a Planeswalker if you've never gotten one, and you're getting a booster to kind of add to it. I am curious, though, when they say 60-card deck, really what that entails. So let's go ahead and open this up and find out. So as we already mentioned, you get the Teferi Timeless Voyager card automatically with the set. So for that, you're getting 2 blue mana, 4 colorless. He's a legendary Planeswalker. He's a mythic rare. He can, for +1, he can draw a card. For -3, he can put a target creature on top of its owner's library. And then for -8, each creature target opponent controls phases out. Until the end of your next turn, they can't phase in. So this is, I think, kind of a good example of a mechanic that isn't for beginners. Phasing, even I still don't really remember how to play it well. And so to hear this and see that this card involves phasing tells me that it's not something I would readily just give to Z and say, okay, here, play with this deck, because that takes some understanding on how that mechanic works versus something as simple as first strike or double strike or flying. So I do still feel that these products are that intermediate step between beginner and advanced. And the Mythic card here, or the Planeswalker card, really kind of just reinforces my opinion on that. So we see we've got that. One of the things, too, that I don't particularly care for, while this packaging makes sense and it's good, I do have some concerns when it comes to removing the cards because of how they're wedged in there. I do wonder if that doesn't lead to the cards getting damaged. Now, granted, there's not going to be a lot of value to these cards because you can just buy them like in the deck itself, as opposed to a booster where it's random. You never know if you're actually going to acquire one. This is an automatic. If you buy the deck, you get the card. But still, as a collector, I kind of hate the fact that I have to kind of work it out there very carefully in order for it not to get damaged. But it is a cool card. It's going to go into our Planeswalker binder, so it is something worth collecting if you are a collector like me. We'll put that aside there. We'll put that over there for the moment. All right, so here is the next part of the product, which is the deck itself. Ooh, it's got some weight to it. Plastic casing, nothing else to talk about there. All right, so if we crack this open, what do we get inside? That's what I'm interested to see. All right. Oh, no. So we see right out of the gate, I have another Stormwing entity. And the reason I say, oh, no, is that this is now the 5th Stormwing entity for Core 2021 that I've gotten. Granted, I have only bought 2 pre-releases and 1 booster box that we haven't even gotten halfway through. And I'm already on the 5th one of these. So seeing another one, just kind of, this is going to be the dirge bat, I think, for the set for me. It's just, oh, there's the Stormwing entity. So we're going to have to start a Haven or a sorts for it. So here's the booster. We'll open that up shortly. Now, these are cool. I do like this. And we've talked about this with the pre-release as well, that there's this nice little thing that kind of goes through the history. It explains some of the mechanics like Flash, Permanent Prowess. So this, I think, in general, is a great product for somebody that's getting ready to step up to the next level. It explains how the Planeswalkers work. This is great for somebody like Z. It's also good for me as a reminder of how they function. So I am thankful that, as much as I'm criticizing that this is not a beginner's product, I do like the fact that they put this in there to help players get familiar with how the Planeswalkers work in their deck. So kudos to Wizards for that. Over here, we just kind of got a little bit about 60-card play, etc. A little bit more about what this deck entails. All right, so now here's the... God, this reminds me. Now, this is causing flashbacks of the good old days when Magic first came out, and you would just buy your tournament booster deck, or your tournament deck, and it would come wrapped like this, and you would just sit there and you'd be like, ooh, what did I get? What did I get? And... so I'm getting a lot of good feelings right now just looking at that. That is a nice reminder of the past. But knowing that that guy's in there, we're going to go ahead and crack this open, see what else we got in there. No music for that one. And we're going to put you over there, buddy, for the moment. All right, so we've got here, we've got the Stormwing entity. Ooh, so there's Teferi's Ageless Insight. So I've got a couple of those now as well, but it's a good card, I think. And then we've got Teferi's Wavecaster. So I like the theme of it. If you're into theme decks like I am, this is a great theme because you're really getting like the spell book of the Planeswalker. So the cards are reflecting that. It's not just blue cards or colored cards that are good for play. They're cards themed to the Planeswalker. So I think that is a nice addition to this purchase or this deck. So that's pretty sweet there. And then we've got, oh, so we got that one twice. So that's Teferi's Wavecaster. And what else do we have here? So after that, then we've got the Fairy Vandal. Jeske Elder. Jeske Elder. I don't know if I'm saying that right. 2 Manama. We've seen that one before. I don't think I'm going to go through all of these because I'm assuming most of these are going to be... Okay, so Shipwreck Drowner, Fairy Vandal, we've seen more of those. Historian. So you're getting a lot of uncommons, which is nice. Again, since it's a pre-constructed deck, you already kind of know what you're going to get. Mystic Skyfish, I don't think I've seen that yet with the boosters, so that's a sweet one to pull as well. And then we're getting into our land cards here. So I'm assuming a lot of these are just lands. Yeah, blue, 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 blue. Blue, 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 blue. Okay. Ooh. Put that one aside. Not going to let that go to waste. All right. Then we've got here, we've got Charmed Sleep. Mantle of Tides. Blue equipment. That's something, too, I'm finding interesting. As I kind of come back to Magic, pay a little bit more attention to it. The fact that there are equipment cards now that are based on a color as opposed to being colorless artifacts. That kind of surprised me when I was going through some of the core 2021 cards. I hadn't realized that that had occurred. For me, they were always just colorless artifacts, but kind of going back here now, we're just seeing most of these are all just your commons. Nothing really exciting here. A couple of Ikoria cards, a couple different things. Now this I like. Here's something else that I appreciate. Again, thinking of Z, this will be helpful for him because sometimes he needs that little reminder of what is the order of a turn. How do you do things? You know, you begin by untapping, drawing. So I'm glad to see this in card form. I think this is better than the fold-out sheet that they provide with like this pack or some of the other products, because this is just easy. It can be right there next to his graveyard so that he can look at it and he can pay attention to what he's doing so that he kind of reinforces proper play. Again, not a big deal when he's hanging out with his dad doing it, but I certainly would like for him to be able to know proper play. So if he ever decides to go play at a front of the local gaming store, he can do that and be comfortable walking into that environment. All right, so that is the content of the Teferi Planeswalker deck. I think it's a pretty good product for that price. We do, though, have a booster here. And since this is Teferi week, we can check that out as well and see what we get. Again, the irony here will be is if we get Teferi. So let's crack this open and see what we get. Alright, so now this is one of the things that's driving me nuts with Core 2021 right now, is that it seems like there is just this madness, random, slopped, thrown together, whatever you want to call it, booster packs, where the order's never consistent. You're seeing weird things, like booster packs that I've opened up till now. Sometimes the tokens are at the bottom with the land, sometimes the tokens are on top. It seems completely random, with no manufacturing logic, I guess is what I'd want to say, where I would expect it always to be the same order. Like at Ikoria, that was one of the things that I noticed going through that whole booster box, was that everything was in a certain order. I knew that the token, the land card, the rare, and the uncommons were going to be at the top normally, or always, so I always wanted to shuffle things up for each video in order to not ruin the surprise. But now here, we see the tokens. We have no idea what's going to be beneath it. Most likely it's going to be the rare, so let's find out. Nope, it's the land. Again, what are we going to get here? Is the next one going to be the rare? 3, 2, 1, boom. Oh, nope, there's another. It's a foil land card, so this has to be the rare next. Oh, boy. Oh, wow. Total surprise to kick things off. Sanctum of All. If you saw the video last month, you know that I'm really excited about the Shrine cards. I like the Champions of Kamigawa theme. And this is one of the cards that I am chasing after, and lo and behold, I acquire it in a Planeswalker deck. So this is kind of like a double win. Not only did I get the fantastic cards out of the Planeswalker deck, but the booster had Sanctum of All. So fantastic pool. But now everything else after that's going to be kind of down here. Here's Experimental Overload. Here's that Scythe that I was talking about a few minutes ago. Here is the Bashir's Solidarity. That one I'm going to have to look at later. And then the commons. I'm not going to bore you. We'll just kind of do a quick, nothing out of the ordinary here. But wow, that is a nice little pool right there as part of a Planeswalker deck. So, overall, I'm not going to complain. For a $12 purchase, I ended up with 5 rares and 1 mythic rare. So that's a pretty good pool, considering all things. So, well, that is it for today. Like I said, the rest of the week is going to be Teferi week, so we're going to open up boosters with Teferi on it. Might have a surprise here or there as well. You never know. But with that said, if you have any comments, feedbacks, or suggestions about this video or about the morning booster, leave them down below. Otherwise, and as always, thanks for watching. Till next time, everybody.